Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on January the 23rd, 2020. Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. As we discussed yesterday, there was a ton of Canadian dollar data that came out, and with the CPI numbers, it was mixed. But we also saw, we also had Bank of Canada monetary policy statement. So overall, Bank of Canada was a little bit more on the dovish side, and this is why we have seen Canadian dollar drop as a result of that. They actually cut the forecast for 2020, and now because of all of that, expectation is that Bank of Canada will cut rates this year, and hence we have seen Canadian dollar drop. So this is a good example of how central banks can have an impact on the currency. We also had Australian dollar data come out, which was quite a bit above the expected numbers, and we saw Australian dollar jump as a result of that. Coming up here, we have on Thursday, we have ECB. So we already had Bank of Canada today. Tomorrow, ECB, so another central bank. If you're trading euro crosses, I would suggest being careful because we could have a big reaction in the market. At this point, it's already at the interest rate is at 0, so not expecting ECB to go into a negative rate. But the biggest concern here would be the statement, that the comments that they have. If they talk about any sort of Brexit related issues, or if they comment on the forecast, if they cut the forecast like Bank of Canada did, that would be negative and we could see euro drop. So any of these comments that would be more on the negative side, on the dovish side, will cause euro to drop. But on the flip side, though, if they are not worried about the economy in 2020, if they are not worried about the trade relationship or anything, so all of those would be positive for euro. So just watch out for that. And then coming up later in the session here, we do have oil inventory. So if you're trading Canadian dollar, another thing that impacts Canadian dollar is oil. So if the oil inventories show a drawdown, that will be positive for oil and then positive for Canadian dollar. But if there's a buildup in inventories, that would be negative for oil and negative for Canadian dollar as well. In the evening or close to the close here, we have CPI, which is the inflation numbers out of New Zealand. And we saw a reaction to the mixed numbers that we saw for inflation for Canada today. If the numbers do not, or if the numbers are below the expected number here, we could see a drop in the New Zealand dollar as a result. And then we also have the CPI numbers for Japan here. Even though it's not marked in red, this will be important because Japanese yen gets traded quite heavily as well. So if the inflation number here, CPI number, is below expectations, we could see Japanese yen drop, and we have PMI numbers here as well. So that's what we have. Let's go on to our charts here now. As usual, we'll start off with euro dollar here. So for euro dollar, we are seeing that price is basically trading in this range here. So if we were to take this away, price has been trading in this range. So ahead of ECB, I do not expect price to really get out of this range. I am expecting euro to just be sideways at the moment. And if if ECB is negative, so if they express concerns about the economy or anything like that, I would expect euro dollar to drop, just like we saw Canadian dollar today. On the flip side, though, if for some reason they say something that the market takes as positive. So let's say they are not concerned about Brexit situation, if they're not concerned about the economy, because President Trump has said that he will not be basically getting into any trade wars till after the election. So if any of that stuff is seen as positive by ECB, then we could actually see euro go up quite a bit as well. In that case, my target would be 1.1180. Otherwise, I'm looking for a drop all the way into 1.0980 or even into 1.10. So those are the levels that I have to the downside if ECB is dovish. But if they're positive, it could go all the way into 1.1180. So I'm going to leave both of those levels on the charts and just wait to see what ECB has to say. Your pound here, pound dollar was actually bullish with the Brexit bill passing. That was a plus for British pound, and we have a nice big bullish candle close. The concern here would be the resistance level here. This is the range that price has been trading in, and it has respected this range previously, or this level previously. So if it doesn't get through, then we could see it come back towards the middle of the range or even towards the bottom of the range. So watch out for that. But overall bias is bullish though, because we do have momentum in British pound to the upside. And if that momentum continues with the Brexit being just a few days away here, just over a week away here, British pound could actually go higher. So right now, bias is bullish. But if it stays below 1.3150, I will look for it to go down. Otherwise, we could see it go all the way up into 1.3280. So for now, bias is bullish with caution. Aussie dollar here, this one actually we had an indecision candle closed for the day. So bias is neutral. However, the positive data that came out just in the Asian session here has pushed the price higher. So at this point, it's kind of gone back in. So as we can see here, now we are seeing the price is a little bit range bound. The level that I would keep an eye on would be 0.6880. So if you look back here, this is where price had reacted. So there was a big bullish move, and this is where it dropped from. And as we can see, it has played around, price has played around with this level. What I would look for here would be to see if price stays below this level. If it does, I will look for it to come back down towards 0.6820. On the other side though, I'm not expecting a big move to the upside. Now, not for the upcoming trading session, but it could go higher. So if you get a close that is bullish, it could go higher. For now though, my bias is neutral. I am expecting price to just trade within this range, 0.6880. Now, for some reason, if we see that US dollar actually drops, then this one could go higher as a result of that. But I'm not looking for inherent strength in Aussie dollar at this point. But if it breaks through 0.6880, then we're looking at 0.6920 as the second, as the target to the upside. For now, neutral bias. New Zealand dollar here, this one overall, it is slowly making its way down, but it doesn't have a lot of momentum at this moment. It is into support, hasn't been able to break the support in 4 or 5 days here, but it is looking heavy though. So my bias is bearish, just with caution though, because this level is important level. As we can see, this is where price has reacted previously as well. So if it doesn't break through, then it could go back up, but my bias is bullish. 0.6550 and 0.6520 would be the next two targets to the downside. Dollar CAD here, with Bank of Canada being dovish, we had a big move to the upside, and this is likely to go higher as well. So bias here is bullish for dollar CAD. 1.3180 is the next target here. The only concern with dollar CAD would be the strength of US dollar. If US dollar starts falling across the board, this is likely to drop as well. but for now, bias is bullish for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at commodities now. Silver. Silver, we have an indecision candle at the moment. We see that price went into support here into 17.67 level here and hasn't been able to break below that. And at this point, I would watch this level. If it doesn't drop through this level, chances are very high, then this one would go higher. But once it breaks through this support at 17.67, basically we're looking to retrace this move that happened to the upside. We're looking to retrace that to the downside. So watch out for that. Bias is neutral and it is into support. Once it gets through it, this one could drop further. Gold here, gold also stuck in this range, so bias is neutral. Now, as long as it stays below 1565, I would look for it to drop towards 1536. So right now, bias is neutral for gold. Oil here, big drop in oil today. And so bias is bearish, $55 is or 55 is the target here for oil, so bearish bias. Copper as well saw a big drop here. Now it is into support, and so the target was met. However, because it's into support here, we just need to be cautious here. If it doesn't break through 2.72, this one could turn around again, but it is bearish, and target here would be 2.69 as the first target, and then we have 2.67 as the second target. Bitcoin here, this is starting to look weak now. It is still in this range, but it's starting to look a little heavy now. So first target here is 84.50, and then 8080 is the second target. However, if price does not break through the support here, this one could go back up. So keep an eye on that. But overall, bias is bearish for Bitcoin. S&P 500, we have a pin bar here, a bearish pin bar here, which means our bias is to the downside. And in this case here, what I would look for would be a reaction. So yesterday we had talked about how price was into resistance. So it tried to break out, failed, and now it's closed below. So I would look for a retest of this 33.20 level, and if it holds, looking for it to drop. 32.90 is the first target and 32.65 is the second target. So bearish bias for S&P 500. NASDAQ here, this one is looking bearish as well here. Price did try to go higher, but right now it looks quite thin. It doesn't seem to be, we're not seeing solid price action. So this one is a little bit jittery. It could move higher. Just be cautious of that. But right now, it wasn't able to sustain this break higher. So we could see it come back towards 9040. But I would be very cautious with this NASDAQ because it could do another push higher before it drops. Dow Jones here, this one's looking bearish. We have a nice bearish pin bar here, looking for it to drop further. 28,890 is the first target here. And then we have 28,750 as the second target. So bearish bias for Dow Jones. Our DAX here came back. Again, it tried to break out and then came back and closed within this range again. Bias is bearish, looking for it to retest the support level of this range at 13,370. Footsie here. The Footsie is looking bearish here. It went up and dropped, so bias is bearish, looking for it to come back into the support at 75.30 is the first target, and then 74.95 is the second target, so bias is bearish. And Nikkei here, Nikkei bias is also bearish here. We do have a pin bar, but like I said, the market seems to be a little thin at the moment. So overall bias is bearish. I would just say just be cautious. I think this one could become volatile. So equity markets here could become volatile. So just be aware of that. But my bias is bearish here. 23,700 is the first target. 23,500 is the second target. So bias is bearish for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading day tomorrow, and I'll be back with analysis again tomorrow evening. Bye for now.